Hi everyone, James from F9, and hopefully I already know the answer to this question because you're watching this video. These are some things that I try to live my life by. These are kind of pointers. Number one, you are an individual, and I cannot put this to you in stronger terms. You are an individual from a cellular and genetic level. The mathematics of genetics means there has never been another one of you in existence, and there probably never will be again. You like your coffee a certain way, you like your cocktails a certain way, you like your food cooked a certain way. The genetics mean that you are always going to be created and born into this world uniquely, and then all of your life experiences add to that and create separate neural pathways to any other being on this planet. So given that information, do you think that you are going to like the same compressor settings as another producer? This is something that I really want to hammer home to everybody as much as possible. Take tips, take technique, take all of the stuff that you see on this platform as advice, not as gospel information. And that includes me as well. Now, I noticed a good few years back that I'm absolutely rubbish at computer games, so there's not really much point me ever trying to be a gamer. I've also seen keyboard players play so fast they can lay waste to my abilities. That is, in my opinion, because everybody has a slightly different internal clock rate. You can think of it like the clock rate of your CPU, except, and this is really important, it doesn't seem to affect performance. We just all seem to run at different speeds. So when you're looking at someone with a compressor technique, why do you think that you should do that exactly and get the same result or something that you like? If you walk around, next time you're in town or in a big city, look at everybody's faces and their ears in particular and see all of the minute differences that nature actually throws up between human beings. I guarantee you, if all the differences are present within the actual shape of the outer ear, that's the same inside. And the inside of an ear is a long tube going to the eardrum. It is a tuned circuit. So that means you are probably going to like certain frequencies that another person may just not find pleasant, or you may hear resonances in music that that person doesn't. So always bear in mind that you are this individual person. And I would 100% also bear in mind that when you are seeing very big producers and artists interviewed, a lot of the times you have to remember that we love talking to technical interviewers. We're not often doing it for your benefit. A lot of the time, we actually just like to talk about the things that we're doing. And so therefore, it's, as I say, you need to learn this ability to cherry pick information. Try everything that's suggested, but don't ever get upset if a certain technique or methodology does not work for you. It doesn't work like that. Remember your individuality. Number two, concentrate on what is right, not what you feel is wrong. And that's one of the biggest things to learn whilst you're actually going through all of this. There is a particularly dangerous emotion that you want to stay away for, and that is resentment. Resentment kind of encompasses all of the negative emotions. It's a bit of jealousy, greed, all of that kind of stuff. And you want to really do everything that you can to keep that out of your life. And the moment you see it coming up the path, just go, okay, I know what that is, get rid of it. And the way to do that is to fully concentrate on the things that are right. Okay, yeah, the music industry's a little bit of a mess, streaming's problematic, but it's always been like this. The music industry has never been anything but a total bun fight. So please don't ever expect there to be a situation where suddenly everybody, the society turns around en masse and says, okay, you're creating that, fantastic, here's some money. It doesn't work like that. And with this comes another really important point. And I sit beside you in a room full of equipment. I'm pretty sure I could manage with about 20% of it, but I love all of this stuff. But don't think for 1 minute that you need any of this equipment to make a great record. The music industry is littered with examples of people that have made amazing music on a very basic system. There is also a psychological point called choice paralysis where, and I'm sure you've seen it, you've got 1,000,001 patches for one particular plugin and you cannot decide which one you want to use. You're just scrolling through them. It is a known psychological effect, and as I say, it's called choice paralysis. Sometimes the best thing you can do is fully restrict yourself. Restriction is known as the mother of invention, and that's completely true. But don't ever think that the reason that your career isn't working is because you don't have a particular plugin or a piece of equipment. It's not like that. You have everything that you need right now to make the very best record possible. And if Trevor Horn had anything like the power that we have in these DAWs back in the 80s, you can imagine what he would have done with it. It's up to us. Let's get cracking. Number 3, check your sources. Information is a vital part of the modern age, but unfortunately we live in an age now where it's started to become really tainted. The politicians didn't help over the last decade, but this has been going on for a long time. If you Google Carl Sagan and baloney detector, there's a couple of great videos with some of his contemporaries and other people that knew him talking about how he had to disseminate information even back in the 70s to work out whether it was just nonsense or not. So this is not a new problem. There is, however, one serious problem. If you go on to any, for example, major medical sites where real data is held, in other words, genetic information or information that had come in from like the College of Nursing, etc., you'll see that the websites are terrible, not pretty to look at. The information is just pages and pages of it. You've really got to work to go through it. And what's happening is people aren't bothering to research anymore. They're just taking headlines from social media, from newspapers, mainstream media, and amplifying it. And everybody is after your attention. That is the biggest thing that you have that people want these days. And this is why you get this sensationalist approach. A perfect example was, I believe it was the election that had Donald Trump and Hillary Clinton in it. There were a number of Democratic voters that had created anti-Hillary Clinton websites and were living off the advertising that putting all of these fake stories up were doing. And they knew it was wrong, but they were just like, well, but it's such easy money. You know, these people were turning in tens of thousands of dollars to actually work against the political system that they actually believed in. So I would always 100% check anything that seems suspect to do with the music industry, to do with production or anything like that, and see what its source is. Is this someone who has actually been and done it, or is it someone just creating videos to get clicks and all the rest of it? It's the most important thing you can do. And also go back to my first point here, don't take it all as gospel, just take it as advice and see what fits. Number 4. The cavalry ain't coming. This is so important for you to understand. You are probably not going to win the lottery. Toolroom are not suddenly going to discover you on SoundCloud and sign your track, and you're not going to be catapulted instantly into world DJ fame and all of the rest of it. You are going to have to do what everybody else does and put the work in. But there's one really important thing to understand. You have to be in the game to do it, and it is a game. Okay, with the number of people on this planet at the moment, absolutely every single endeavor is highly competitive, and you've got to make peace with that. Things will not automatically happen to you. And that's what I mean by the cavalry. They're not coming over the hill to rescue you. Only you can sort yourself out and get yourself going. And you have to take full responsibility for that. Because I see this thing in society where people are starting to push all responsibility for their problems onto external sources. I would love to lay the blame of everything that's happening on the world in government, but some of it is down to the public too. We are pretty badly behaved, as we've seen so much over the last few years. So take full responsibility for your career, your life, and the things that you actually want to do. And one really important thing to always learn is don't fixate on a future perceived event that you think is going to save you. Concentrating purely on the past will stop you actually enjoying the experience of being within the moment. And particularly when we talk about music, do remember that we all got into this because we love it and we want to enjoy it. But if you're constantly fixated, oh, I've got to get this track done. If I do this, this has got to happen to me. That's got to happen to me. You will not enjoy the process. And actually, because of our dopamine systems in our brain, fixating on that one result can be incredibly dangerous because then it becomes addictive. If you do get that track signed onto one of the labels that you love, for example, you're going to want that again and again. Whereas what you should be doing is enjoying all of the parts of the process. Make the actual parts of the process the reward, and I promise you, you can't help but be happier. Okay, number 5. Practice makes perfect. If you look at any of athletes or footballers, for example, it's kind of ludicrous that in our minds we think that they just woke up one day. Let's take Ronaldo as an example. Ronaldo didn't just wake up and become the best footballer in the world. He became the best footballer in the world by doing a ton of things repeatedly, and he's kept being one of the best footballers in the world. Okay, slightly questionable at the moment, but he's managed to keep that going by constantly training. The same happens with every single discipline. Don't treat music any differently at all. So in other words, we all secretly know what we're not so good at. So for example, if programming drums is not your best moment in the studio, then practice that. Don't try to make a track. Stop trying to make tracks for a minute. Make 4 drum beats and then stop, and then listen to them 5 days later and see if if one of them's any good. And I guarantee you, you will pick up knowledge, and with iterations, you get slightly better at each bit. Now, I'm still doing this to this day, and fashions within music change. The sonics change. Like, for example, all the drums seem to be really tight and short at the moment. That's when these practice sessions can be even more vital than trying to make a record. Nobody, for example, should ever attempt a marathon without actually doing a ton of training first. And it's the same for making a track. Don't just jump in and think that you're going to be the next Axwell. He spent a phenomenal amount of time making all of his mistakes and getting to the level that he is now. Number 6, be a force for good every minute of the day if you can. It's very much hard work, but I can't tell you what it will do for you. So here's a couple of examples. When you think about the people that you admire or that you like hanging out with, think about their personalities and the way that they are. I guarantee you they're positive, kind, generous people. Then you think about some of the other people that you know. You may really get on with them, but you always know that you've got a few people in the group that you have to kind of be wary of, because they're either going to sap energy out of you, or they're negative, or they're a little bit shady in the way that they behave. Which side of that equation would you rather be on? And when you really stop to think about it, are you definitely on the positive side? Or are people a little bit wary of you? Now, there's an odd fact that you may not be aware of, and that is our brains have more space to positive, negative thoughts and emotion than they do positive. So it's easy to see when you go onto a service like Twitter, the negativity and the this is wrong, that's wrong, blah, 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 blah. Because we actually, a larger part of our brain is constantly dealing and processing that side of the information than it is the positive stuff. This is why the sense of loss can become such a powerful driving factor. Now, interestingly in life, and you may have heard this said a lot, you will only ever really fundamentally act out of 2 purposes. One is love and one is fear. And with fear, you get hate and all of the rest of it and all of the bad stuff. It's pretty obvious which side of that equation you'd always want to be on. But it takes a conscious effort on your part to actually do it. So next time that you're on a forum and someone says something that you don't agree with, instead of elevating yourself by putting them down, why don't you add to the conversation and just say, oh, I hadn't thought of it like that. Explain it to me. And actually start a positive conversation and be nice to people. I can't tell you how easy it is to exist in that kind of frame once you actually get used to it. You've got to catch that side of your brain. Anger can come up like a kind of, almost like a fire within you, but you can catch it. It takes practice, trust me, I know, but it can actually be done. So Happy New Year, everyone, and I hope these things are food for thought. I must admit, the one thing that I've learned over the years is that there is nothing better than improving or learning new things and trying to get yourself a little bit better. It gives your life real purpose. Now, when I started F9, I had to learn an awful lot of video, and I always thought, well, you can't teach an old dog new tricks. Well, you can. And it's actually known within neuroscience now. It's called neuroplasticity. And basically what tends to happen is as we gain knowledge and we get older and older and older, we kind of have enough to do everything that we need to. So we just stop learning and stop trying to improve. I encourage all of you, every single one of you, to break out of that mold and to try something new this year. Because nothing beats not knowing what you're doing at the beginning and then by the end of the day having sussed something, that feeling of, yeah, man, sorted it. Try anything, try video editing, try learning a new plugin, pull up something that you've never done before, make a different genre of music. I hope this really helps you. Take care everyone, and we'll see you next time.